being an attorney, I'm sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in that industry, becoming partner is a huge deal, is a I made it kind of thing.
Yes.
And having equity in the firm. You left that.
I did.
Became a part of a small firm and then left that and started your own firm, which is doing great things. If that wasn't enough, you started another company doing back office work for small to mid-size. So you're creating companies and doing it differently than those that are out there. I'll stop talking.
You know, it's so funny. When I look back, I think, how did I do that? Or like, how did I have the confidence to do that, right? But in the moment, there was just a problem that I knew I could solve. And I thought, well, let's just do this and see what happens. I mean, it was really that simple, you know, and there's just nothing else like more complex or thoughtful to say, because that's how it started for both of those businesses.
And that sounds so simple and really unreal. And I'm sure once we get talking about it, we're going to find out that you make it sound like, you know, you were on a broom and with a wand, just a fairy, easily making it all happen. But I have to believe there was a lot of grit.
Yes.
Knowledge, expertise, perseverance behind all that.
You know, there was, you know, so the short version of the story is that I grew up in a family business. My family still runs a trucking company over in Lebanon, Illinois called Stock Transport. I grew up never wanting to be an entrepreneur because I watched what my family went through, but wanting to help entrepreneurs that looked like my family.
What was it that your family went through that made you go,
Yeah, well, so neither of my parents had a college education, so they were just figuring it out day to day, right? And there were many times where fuel prices for these trucks went through the roof or insurance prices went through the roof, and I watched them struggle. I mean, that stress was pervasive throughout our home growing up. And that's what ultimately at, 6, 7, 8 years old made me decide I wanted to be a lawyer, because I thought I could be a trusted advisor to people that look like my parents who are struggling, and either help them avoid some of these issues, or if they don't find me first, help them navigate their way through these issues. So I went to college, went to law school, didn't know that there was any other way really to be successful as a lawyer except at a big law firm, right? That's what law school teaches you. And so I was so grateful to take a position at Lewis Rice. It's an amazing firm here in town. I had a wonderful experience there. But what I found as you go up through the ranks as an equity partner at a large law firm, your billable rate just gets higher and higher. And I really wanted to work with those small to medium-sized businesses. So that's ultimately what led to what is still today the hardest decision I've ever made, to leave that big firm and to start my own.
Tell me about it.
It was intense.
Again, you probably are going through law school, as you said, you make it big at one of the big firms. And I'm sure there were probably people who thought, are you crazy?
Yeah, I'm sure there were.
Nobody told you to your face.
I think people made a lot of assumptions about why I was leaving. This was, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, right? And I had 3 kids. My then husband was running his own business as a very successful entrepreneur. And I'm sure people made some assumptions about, leaving to be at home with my kids more or what have you. Really, what I've discovered and really have been able to, I'll go back to, I told you it was really simple. Like, there was a problem. I thought I had a solution, right? The problem that I was seeing over and over again was that small to mid-sized businesses need sophisticated legal counsel at a price that they could afford. And I thought, well, I can do that, right? I've gotten this great experience on my own. I can set my own rates. I will have more freedom and flexibility to be available for my family. And that was really important to me and continues to be really important to me today. And as we got going, a bunch of things happened. But one of the things that came up for me was, if I can do this for me, I could do this for dozens of other lawyers, right? I mean, there's so much work out there that, as I was building Stock Legal, I mean, we were drowning in work at many points in time. I'm like, there's so much work out there. I want to be able to offer this to other lawyers.
So take me back. I mean, how long did you struggle with, I think I need to leave?
Oh, wow. It was probably the idea or the thought came up for me really just in the last year while I was practicing at the big firm. But the struggle to finally make that decision went on for 30 days. And a little like too much information, if you will, about me is that when I'm really anxious, my hands sweat and my feet sweat. So for 30 days, I had sweaty palms, I had sweaty feet. Talking about this with you right now makes my palms and feet start to sweat. It was such a hard decision. I was at this amazing firm. I had this amazing career. This was all I ever wanted. And what on God's green earth was I thinking leaving? I mean, I still to this day can't believe that I ultimately made that decision, although I am incredibly grateful at this point that I did have the courage to jump and just believe that a net would appear, right? I wasn't sure what it was, but I knew a net would appear.
What was it that brought you to that moment? Because I think there are probably people out there who I went to law school, I need to be doing this, or I have this student debt, or I'm at this company that everybody says I should be happy, but I'm not. And the ability to, I would guess, have a happier, more joyful life by, I guess, what did you identify or what spurred that something's not feeling right?
Yeah, it was ultimately my passion for working with small to medium-sized businesses. I needed to fulfill that passion or that purpose to really feel like I was, fulfilled, right?
Yeah.
There was just something missing, and I needed my work to be more soulful, right? And not as soulless, right? Big firms have a wonderful place in the ecosystem. They have incredible expertise and diverse expertise, and they handle fascinating, complex transactions, right? I was so grateful to have learned so much, but I just couldn't figure out how to fit in what my soul was asking for, which was, ultimately what I feel like my purpose is, at least in the business world.